Okay, so in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how you can install Ubuntu 20.04 in a virtual machine running on your computer. So, I'm going to be using Vmware again, like I did in my macOS video, but if you guys rather use VirtualBox, you can use that too. The setup is pretty similar, pretty much. So you go to this website to download a workstation player, you hit download, and it will download the installer for you, and it's a big installer, that's why it takes a little bit. And then after it's downloaded, you just run it, and you'll have VMware installed. And once it's downloading, you just click on it, and you can just click next, and you'll have it installed. So another thing we need to have to get Ubuntu installed is a Ubuntu ISO, because we need to be able to install Ubuntu. So you go to the Ubuntu website, download Ubuntu Desktop 20.04 LTS, and you just hit that and it starts downloading it for you. And you just go like this, and you have to click save, and as you see, it starts downloading it for you. So you can just wait for it to be finished downloading right here. Once you're finished with the ISO downloading and VMware installing, open up VMware Workstation. And then what you're going to do is go create a new virtual machine. Click on that, and you can do this installer disk ISO file. So browse for the file, and right here, this is what it should be called: Ubuntu 20.04 1 desktop AMD 64. Open that one, and it says it will use easy install. I'm going to show you guys what that is, but it is something that is really amazing and really helps. So you go next, and it wants your name and stuff, because normally when you set up Linux, you have to do this inside of the Ubuntu installer, but VMware has added this thing where you do it in the setup, and it just makes the process so much easier and faster. So here you just type in all your personal information, and then just type in all your passwords. And once you're done, you hit next, and you can name it whatever you want. I'm just gonna name mine Ubuntu, and then you can browse where you want to save it, but the default location is in documents, and that's good for me. And you're gonna give the maximum storage you want. So I would recommend around, like, I'm gonna give 60. 60 is good for me, and you don't need to change this. Leave it as split virtual disk into multiple files. That's better. That's the one that you want. And you go next, and here what you're gonna do is you're gonna customize the hardware. And the RAM, I have 8 gigs of RAM on this computer, and the default gives 2 gigabytes of RAM, but I want to give 4. 4 is a good amount for me. And then you can, yeah, that's the memory. Processes, if you have more processes, you can always make those more, and that's good. Network adapter is good. USB controller. So if you want on your virtual machine to be able to use USB devices that you plug into your computer, tick this thing right here. So now that you tick that, when you plug a USB device in your computer, you'll be able to see it in your Ubuntu virtual machine too. And the sound card is good, printer we don't have, and display. So all of those settings seem good. So what we're going to do now is go finish, and it boots up our virtual machine for the first time now. So it's just going to do this little thing for a second, and it's going to check your disk. So when you install Ubuntu on a normal computer, it does this too. It's just making sure it has all of the right files and stuff to be able to install Ubuntu. It goes very fast, so don't worry. Like I said, it's going to be using this thing called Easy Install, so we're not going to have to type in any personal information or anything, or we're really not going to have to do anything. It just, after this, it's going to go straight, and it's going to start copying over the files so we can have Ubuntu in our virtual machine. So it's just checking the disks. I'm leaving it in the real time so you guys can see how it installs, so you don't get like worried or anything if you think it's not working. So you might see some black screens, but that's just because it's like loading in the background. And here we are. We see the Ubuntu desktop look, and as you see, our mouse right here is loading. We heard that little sound. And as you see, it goes straight to installing. It skips all of the password and all of that stuff. So now this could take up to like 15-20 minutes, so now you just need to be patient and wait for it to install. So I'm still in the installing part. After it copies over the files, it downloads these packages that come pre-installed, like LibreOffice, Firefox, all of your essential packages that you're going to need. It goes ahead and it's downloading them for you right now. Yeah, so it's been like 10 minutes for me so far, so I'm guessing it will take about 15 minutes in the total process of doing this. Okay, so the installation finished for me, and it automatically does a reboot for you. Once it's done installing all the packages and doing all of that stuff, it automatically is doing a reboot for me. So as you see right here, it says installing OpenVM tools. That's another thing that the easy install does for you. So you don't have to manually install VM tools, which is a very amazing and great thing. Like, it's just installing it for me right now. So when this is done installing and then it boots up, I'll be able to use my virtual machine in full screen, and I will not have to install any other software like I did on the macOS virtual machine. So this tutorial could apply for another another Ubuntu distro like Ubuntu Budgie, Kubuntu, Lubuntu, Xubuntu. It should be the same for all of those other distros too. So if you don't want a classic Ubuntu desktop, you can always go for one of those too. And it finished installing OpenVM tools, and here's the login. So I'll just log in with that password that you made earlier. And we have our mouse here. So once the desktop opens up, I'll make it full screen. Like, if you're doing this on a more powerful computer, it should be more faster and stuff for you. So if I click on that full screen, automatically full screen fits my whole screen, don't have to do anything else. So we can just, I don't want to do any of these. You can send info if you like. And we're done. Look at this, the Ubuntu 20.04 desktop running in a Vmware. And it is very easy to install. And like, got our files app here. And I'm running this with 4 GB of RAM, as you saw before. So like, if you're into if you use Windows every day, but you need Linux for like one thing that you need to use it for, a virtual machine is a very good idea because you can just boot it up when you need it, and it doesn't use much space on your computer either. So that's just a very good idea, and it's cool to be able to. And you can use Linux and Windows at the same time. If you were dual booting, you couldn't do that. You would only have one operating system open at one time. So I can go here, use my Windows, go back and use Vmware some more, and it's fully functional. All of the apps do work. Like we have Ubuntu software. And it's just downloading the software catalog and all the stuff that is needed. And here we are. We got the software center here. So Deluge is like a torrent downloader. So we have those installed already. You can search for apps like Spotify. Spotify is here. And you can just install it. And then you type in your password. And it will start installing it for you. Yeah, so this is how to install Ubuntu 20.04 in Vmware very easily. And yeah, I hope this tutorial was helpful for you guys. If you want to get this up running on your computer or on your MacBook. On MacBook, you can't use Vmware, but you can use VirtualBox instead. And the process is pretty similar. So if you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you have any questions or comments about anything, tell me down below in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe.